Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jazzy. Today we are doing the second part, and this is Dominic, my husband. But today we're doing the second part of our, yes, my husband. I know, it's exciting. We are doing the second part of the elopement trip in Italy. So if you haven't seen the first part of our video yet, go back and check it out. It is just our trip to Rome. So we did, I think it was like 10 days in Rome or maybe 7. I don't remember exact days. Because it's been a long time as well. If you are not new here, you know it's been a long time since we actually did this trip. So we're going to tell you guys about the time that we spent in Sicily. And it was different than we expected because we did take a sleeper train to go to Sicily. And that was an experience in itself, I have to say. It was a good experience had we had our own sleeper train. But the way that they had them in Italy, you're in a sleeper train with 4 people. So it was Dominic, me, and these 2 people who we thought were together originally, but
and they were not.
They were not. But they were talking to each other in their language, and we didn't know their language. So it was just a very interesting experience. Not to mention, the lady that was in our sleeper train was extremely sick.
She was very, very sick.
So sick.
Like they tried to kick her off the train sick.
Yeah, and I think she thought that she had booked from what I gathered from her conversation with the train person, she thought that she had booked her own her own little sleeper train section, and obviously she hadn't, so we were stuck in this little sleeper train with her. And the cool thing about the sleeper train, if you are in there without, with people that you know, is you can shut the door to sleep, and, it's actually really nice and private, and, you can change, do whatever you want, and, I mean, I don't know, would that be weird? No, there's probably not cameras, right?
Change.
Okay, maybe don't change. But regardless, you can shut the door to the sleeper train. But if you're in there with strangers, you probably don't want to do that, first of all. And second of all, especially if one of them's sick. So I'm pretty sure we were the only ones that didn't have, our sleeper train door shut for when we were sleeping. So it was just a really horrible experience because it was light outside of the door. So, it was light in our sleeper train the whole time. Yep. Not to mention, she was sick. So, Dominic ended up getting extremely, extremely, extremely sick. Bad. Yep. From her, because they were both on the top bunk. So, that was kind of a bummer. So, it did put a damper on the first part of our trip. But we're going to show you guys everything that we did anyway. And it was fun. We still had a good time. It just, he was sick for the first, location that we were at, which was Taormina, Sicily. So this is the view from our first Airbnb that we stayed at in Taormina, and it was so pretty. That was actually Mount Etna in the background that you can see there, kind of erupting. It's not really erupting. What was all that steam coming out of it?
It's an open volcano.
Open volcano, active volcano.
It is technically
we had plans to go up into the active volcano, but we alas could not because he got sick. Yeah. But so this is the town of Taormina. You have to walk down this big hill to get there from where our Airbnb was. The whole entire town is actually on a cliffside. So just know you gotta bring your walking shoes and you gotta be prepared. They do have Uber, and we Ubered sometimes to get back up, but it was definitely a jaunt to get to this from our Airbnb.
We only Ubered the once because I was so sick.
Yeah, we did. And then when he was sick, I actually came into town by myself as well, which was weird and scary, but not really at all, actually, because the town was not very scary. It was a very safe town. But the first night that we were there, Dominic actually cooked for us because he wasn't feeling that bad yet.
Right. And then this is chicken and pancetta with something and linguine.
Mm-hmm. And these are our clothes.
By the looks of it. And we had to do some laundry, but you can see how tight the corners are here. And I mean, everything in Italy was so small in comparison. And I mean, compared to America, where every single car is massive, in Italy it's not. And it's not about the people who are on mopeds. It's not about, the bikers and all that type of fun stuff. It's just the cars are in general smaller.
They have to be too, because the streets are smaller.
I mean, even the SUV that we rented was smaller than my car.
It was tiny.
And I don't have a big car. It was only slightly bigger than yours.
Yeah, it was pretty scary driving there. I don't think I could have done it, personally.
It was extremely tight sometimes.
Okay, this is really scary. Beautiful, but scary.
There were times where it was just me asking Jess to be quiet so I could look both ways.
There were a lot of times during that. And like that sucks for you because you didn't get to actually look around and like experience these views the way that I was able to.
No, like, and you guys will see it in a bit. When we saw the goats, like I looked over, saw goats, and went, "Oh look, there's goats. I gotta focus on not dying."
Yeah.
And then you go, "Did you see that?" No.
Yeah, he did. He wasn't able to experience it, and then on top of it, not to mention that he was sick, so like doing these windy roads was a whole thing in itself. This first day, actually, we went to get some Granada.
Oh, yeah.
At a little place called Bomb Bar, I think. And Dominic got sick there too. He was just so sick the whole time. It was so sad.
I mean, I was.
It was so sad. So that, but it was beautiful there. So like after he got sick there, we ended up going to the car, and you ended up sleeping for a little bit and like overlooking this gorgeous view that you guys are looking.
I think that was like the second or third day.
That was the first day. Or no, you're right. It was the second day. It was after the pancetta. And then the second day, you and I went down to get the food. But that was a struggle. The whole thing was a struggle.
All of it was a struggle, yeah.
It's really unfortunate because I was so excited for Sicily. So for those of you that haven't been here a while, like this is your first video, I kind of picked Sicily and Dominic picked Rome. So like the fact that he wasn't able to experience Sicily was a real bummer for us all. With the Granada, they give you brioche buns, and you're supposed to like rip the bun off and dip it in the Granada. I swear this Granada was so freaking good. I went back there the second day after when Dominic was sick. I went so many times because, first of all, I think it was because I was comfortable with that location too, because you and I had been. Right. So not that I wasn't ever really was ever really uncomfortable, because like I said, I felt really safe there. But like it was my comfort zone, so I was like, I'm gonna go back to this place. But it was so yummy, so delicious.
It was really good.
This was from the second day that I ended up going back down, and I just got some video for you guys on that day because it was kind of hard while we were together to get much video because we were just having a good time hanging out.
Well, and I was almost ready to
and you were sick, so I had to kind of hold him up most of the time. But going back down on my own was actually kind of special. Not like I wish you would have been there, but it was cool for me because I don't really do stuff like that very often by myself. So it was just a cool experience to be literally in this town by myself. Like, I don't know, it felt cool for me. But it was very, very pretty, and like there was just these little alleyways that you could walk up.
You guys can see up here, just looking through this alley, really how far down the town really was.
Yeah, like up at the top there, literally you can see that's the top of the town. So like we had to walk all the way down,
and then
from up there and all the way back up. Like walking down wasn't so bad,
right?
but getting back up was exhausting. Brutal. It was so exhausting, but it was really nice.
It's a good thing we did Rome first.
I think so too.
Not even because of getting sick or anything, but because it put us in the mindset of being able
we're gonna walk everywhere,
to go through places and walk and be willing to hike, cross land, air, and sea to get somewhere.
Yeah, and the craziest thing too is that I think because we did Rome first and we felt so safe in Rome together, had we done it opposite and you were sick at first, I probably wouldn't have gone out by myself. But because we felt so safe in Rome together, I was like, obviously I'll feel safe here. And there was nobody on the streets while we were walking down to this town, which here in the United States would be scary for me if nobody was there. Like I could get pulled into any alleyway. But there, like, it wasn't scary at all. It was mostly just exhausting.
Right.
It was mostly just exhausting.
It's a very different vibe.
The whole town isn't actually like very big at all. I feel like I walked it in like an hour, honestly, the entire town of Taormina. But it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, I ended up getting us cannolis that second day. Did you eat one even?
I don't think so. Oh, there's me passed out again.
I ate, I think, all 4 of those cannolis, and they were banging. But the guy did upsell me, and he made me buy a couple of other things that I didn't need necessarily. But a couple of days later, after Dominic started to feel a little bit better, we were able to actually do some of the stuff that we had originally planned. So we planned like a couple of Airbnb experiences. We can't recommend this one enough. This is a like picnic, watch a movie under the stars experience.
Yeah.
I was trying to surprise Dominic with it, but then I wasn't able to, obviously. But I thought it'd be really cool. Like she like puts the movie on a screen for you and everything to watch, and it's like a 3-course. It was 3 courses, right?
It's at least 3.
Maybe a 4-course meal.
It's a multi-course meal.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
And she's writing a cookbook. The food was excellent. The views were amazing. Her dog was the sweetest dog.
Yeah.
And she was very, very kind.
She was so friendly, and she just literally lived up on this mountain. Like the view that you guys are looking at right now, she literally lives there. That's her view the whole entire time that like of her life.
This
like,
was
I
like
just
a
can't
3-minute hike from where she was.
But it was like a hour drive going up the mountain. It was scary.
Yeah, this is much higher than where we were staying in Taormina. And you can tell just by how much closer Mount Etna appears.
Yeah.
Those are some rolled noodles. Yeah,
you can actually see Taormina in the distance there, off on the left-hand side. That is literally the town of Taormina, which is just so cool. You can see it's like built right into the cliffside. The dog was a very good part of this experience.
Yeah, she was a good puppy.
Yeah, because we were really missing
There
Sunday.
she is.
Oh, there she is. And this is the lady's view. It's just so crazy that she gets to wake up every single day and look out at this view.
Here's the goats or sheep that I mentioned before. Sheep and goats.
And goats.
Yeah, and like literally where that is, you see them all clustered right there. Just past that last sheep that's standing there, that's like a sheer cliffside. They're just sitting on it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's like what you see in movies. Like you could never imagine that ever being able to see something like that. It was wild.
It was really odd just being in another country like that, not having had that experience.
Yeah.
Because you look at the movies and you're kind of like, there's no way. That stuff doesn't happen. It's not real. And then you look at it and you're like, oh my God, like people actually live a life like that. It's insane.
People actually, like that woman actually lives in that house where she walks to town to get her groceries. Like, I don't even think she has a car.
She told us about a path that we could walk the next time. She said, yeah, it'll take you like an hour and a half to do, but it's just down this way. And we're like, the tiny windy path on the side of the mountain? She goes, yeah. Like, no.
Like,
take the car.
Yeah, because then we have to get back up somehow.
And she didn't have a car.
I know.
She just had someone who would bring her groceries if she had too big of a
Did she
thing.
say that?
Yeah.
Okay, because she told me that she had to go, she walked into town to get our groceries.
Yeah, for like, little stuff like ours, she would go into town. But whenever like she needed to stock up, somebody would like bring it to her. It was like her significant other or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think her neighbor too had a car as well. We saw them drive by at the end there.
I don't remember.
It was crazy though. I just can't imagine living that life. Yeah. What happens to your brain when you live that life? Like, is it a good thing? You know what I mean? Because your life it's so small but so beautiful.
Right.
You know?
She was really happy.
So yeah, she was so happy.
I can't imagine it's that bad.
No. Okay, so then this was the following day. Dominic and I were actually heading out of town this day, and we ended up going into Taormina to look at, what was this place called? It was like
This was the, I don't remember what it's called, but it was the amphitheater.
I think it was just like the Taormina amphitheater.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. It was so pretty. I'm so happy we ended up doing that because we almost didn't. Because we were trying to beat out a storm that you can probably see in the distance there. But it was so beautiful, and I just can't imagine like going to see something there, like a concert or something. Obviously, they probably don't do those anymore.
Don't do
yeah. But they used to, right?
Once upon a time, plays and all that type of fun stuff.
It was gorgeous. And then we were off to Modica. This was a rough day for you. You're right. I just remembered. This was a great day for me because it was so beautiful. The drive was so gorgeous, but Dominic was not feeling well at all. So, like, it was just, everything's kind of dampened when somebody's not feeling well. So, like, you're looking around at these beautiful views, and, like, he was just miserable. I felt so bad. But it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous drive there. I don't even remember how long it was. It was probably, like, 3 hours or so to get there. It was about
3 hours, yeah. We had to drive past the Air Force Base. We drove all the way past Mount Etna. And
that was so cool.
It was, like, 2 hours past Mount Etna. Down to basically the opposite coast of Sicily, and I mean, it was beautiful.
It
really was.
Sicily was wild because they had mountains, ocean. They had everything you could ever want. They had mountains, ocean. They had cactus when we first got off the.
Yeah, that was weird.
When we first got out of the our situation, what was it that we did again? The night train.
The train, yeah.
There was cactus everywhere. We were like, where are we right now? It was so crazy.
The Sicilian food though was so good.
It was so good.
Which we'll get to that.
And the products, like what he used in that first dish, like that was the best. It was so yummy, and like it's all because of it was store bought in there. I think
it was the second best thing we ate over there.
What was the first best?
This one.
Oh, banging. Okay. Yeah, you guys will see. But this is the Airbnb we stayed at in Modica. For those of you that don't know anything about Modica, I kind of talk about it more in my Airbnb tour if you guys want to go over and check that video out. But our Airbnb in Modica was so amazing. Dominic still wasn't feeling well though. I hate to keep saying it, but you just weren't. I feel so bad.
But our host left us all these different fruits and vegetables and bread, and it was just beautiful. Persimmons, all sorts of fun stuff.
All sorts of things. The hospitality, that's what it is. The hospitality there was just unreal.
From everybody. In fact, this restaurant that you guys are about to see, these were the rudest people that we saw in Sicily.
They were so mean to us.
And they weren't even that mean. They just...
They didn't like tourists, I think.
They were... It was a very hole-in-the-wall, local type of place. And they did not want us there. They refused to speak to us in English, but they would speak to each other in English, which is even funnier.
Yeah, they really didn't want us there.
They just did not want us there.
But our Airbnb host actually recommended them, and we were staying in like his home that he like renovated and everything. Yeah. So this town was desolated by, is that the word, decimated?
So there were a bunch of like earthquakes and things in the 90s that kind of ruined the town as a whole.
We don't know for sure, but I don't know if you guys have seen those like towns on Facebook or not Facebook, like there's just like a bunch of ads for like towns you can live in for $1, that you can like buy a house for $1. This felt like one of those towns. Like the houses were completely demolished. You guys will see, like just completely demolished, most of them. So you would have to rebuild the whole entire place, but gorgeous, stunning. Like it was so beautiful.
When you think of the different tiers of Modica, I'd say you could probably break it into 4 tiers. This is us on probably tier 3 right now. And that church was actually massive that you guys
huge
just saw.
We couldn't believe it when we got down to that ground level and saw the church. It was crazy. It was so much bigger when you were down there. We didn't even realize how high we were up.
These blueberry trees were actually on one of the 2 balconies that this, I mean, it may as well have been a villa.
Yeah, it was like a villa.
Along with a treat tray that they gave us.
Yeah, he literally bought us this treat tray from the chocolate place, because Modica's known for their chocolate. And he bought us this, like, it's crazy, because we only paid like $100 for our stay there a night, and he just did so much for us. It was wild.
But Modica was so beautiful, and like just the different levels, the depth of architecture that you could see everywhere. It was crazy, and I mean, there were times when we walked through it and it was dead.
Yeah.
It was dead.
Yeah, like complete silence. But then the kids would all play at the church at nighttime. Yeah. Every night we were there, they were just playing at the church. This is just some of the footage of the Airbnb that we stayed in.
He made us this care package that's his family's homemade wine, olive oil, and spaghetti sauce. There was an outdoor kitchen. This is actually on the 2nd balcony, which cooking in that kitchen was insane, because even being sick, like, it was an extremely enjoyable experience.
I mean, it was gorgeous. How could it not be? I just feel bad because you didn't really get to sit out there at all. I sat out there and read books almost the whole time we were there. And it was just really, like, I've never sat on a rooftop before. And, like, that's what it felt like. It felt like I was sitting on a roof reading my book.
They had cat shelters everywhere. This was one that said, "Welcome to Cat Village." And where we had to park was probably a 1/4 mile away. And then again, we had to walk through the different alleys and wind on through. But the cats were largely very friendly because they thought we had food.
They were so cute. You could tell they take care of like their 3 animals there, clearly. I mean, they have a whole villa built for them. But you can see how small these streets were. And these were streets that like we were supposed to drive down. But we didn't. Well, we did. We drove down a couple of them. But he had like a parking spot that we could park so we didn't have to drive down. Like, how would we have driven down that?
Very carefully.
That's crazy to me. So this is the walk from our parking spot to our Airbnb, and it was like just so beautiful. Literally everywhere you look was gorgeous, but you can see how desolate the town is. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
You can see how like nobody lives here. Like there was probably like we probably saw maybe a handful, maybe 5 people our whole time walking through these streets.
Yeah.
And these are all houses up around. It's just they're all torn down.
They're either run down and
abandoned.
abandoned, or the people, aren't. They're just not there
right now.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore.
So this is like the kind of vehicles that you would have to drive there. They're just so tiny, like especially that little blue truck. I don't even know. Dominic and I were talking about how would you even renovate a place there if you were to buy one. Like trucks can't get in there to bring products even.
Right. Like I'm not the tallest guy or the biggest guy by any means, and I towered over that car.
Yeah, I don't know how our guy made the Airbnb the way that it looks. Like you'd have to carry things with those little trucks to get them in there, like the flooring and stuff like that. I don't know. It would be hard to renovate somewhere. And this was the view at dusk, and it was so pretty. It looked so pretty all throughout, like every moment. Like
literally,
it
all
looked
the
completely
time.
different. It was just like ever changing the view, just like the way that the lights light up and everything. It was so beautiful.
But the produce, like I mentioned, was unreal.
It was excellent.
And then even like the lemons, and I guess in Sicily because of the volcano, all the ground is extremely fertile and full of nutrients, I guess. But one of the coolest things that we have were actually Sicilian lemons, and they're huge and they're green.
Yeah.
But they were incredible.
Best lemon. It was so
They
good.
were so
This
good.
meal was the best meal we've ever had.
Oh,
I think it's
yeah.
the best meal I've ever had in my life.
100%.
It was so good.
And it really came down to the quality of the food, because I don't think I'm good enough to
Well, you are,
do
but the
that,
ingredients there just are so different than the ingredients here. This was we went for another drive the following day.
But you guys can see just how crammed everything is. Like, we're weaving in and out of everything.
Mm. And people are parking their cars horizontally or like the way people would park their cars was so weird there.
Like in a traditional street, you'd have people who are parked horizontal, then perpendicular to that, and then like just kind of back and forth.
Mm-hmm. So the last day that we were in Sicily, Dominic and I, we did forget to say our vows on our wedding day.
We didn't forget. We ran out of time.
Ran out of time on our wedding
One of us
day.
was prepared.
I had other things going on.
I also had other things
I
going
know,
on.
but I had to make sure I set up the thing for it was a lot. I'm a one-man show here when it came to recording our wedding and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I had to make sure that the videos were set up for the wedding. I didn't have time to write my vows. I'm sorry. I only had been working on them for 8 years, but I needed to perfect them.
Didn't have time.
I needed to perfect them. And I gave you a whole freaking book of things that I've written for you through the 8 years. So, you know, I did good when it came to that. But I did not have my vows ready for our wedding day. Nor did we really have time to say them. If we did, that would have been nice. But we didn't. So we waited and we said our vows on the last day that we were in Sicily. We also kind of wanted to, like, well, at least I wanted to get pictures on the balcony I wanted to get pictures on each of our balconies because they were all so beautiful, but we weren't able to do that in Taormina just because Dominic was sick. There was no way we were going to get dressed up in Taormina.
There were full, like, days I was just collapsed in the bathroom,
Yeah.
just laying on the floor.
It was so
Like,
bad,
It was
as we discussed.
unpleasant.
But finally, he was feeling a little better, and even at that, he still wasn't. He still definitely were. You were probably at like 40% on the day that we decided to get back dressed up.
Yeah.
We ended up saying our vows to each other. So I'm gonna show you guys just like a little snippet of that. I'm probably not gonna show them the whole thing, but
Make sure you get in the part about how you're a cheater at Mario Kart.
I mean, if you'd like, I would put the whole thing in. Anyway, we ended up getting dressed up on our last day there and saying our vows, and it was just really special, and it was nice to be able to say them still, like, on the balcony. I'm happy we ended up doing that, because otherwise, what would we have said our vows? You know? Our wedding day was not very stereotypical for, like, it was not normal, because I also did not wear my wedding rings when we went and got our pictures taken. I completely forgot my wedding ring and my engagement ring. So, like, I just didn't have a ring on when we went and did our pictures. And our photographer was kind of like, are you guys, like, actually getting married, or what's going on here? But I had to put my makeup on, you know, one-man show. Like I said, it's not like I hired somebody to do my makeup or, like, do my hair. So, anyway, this day we did a third first dance. we just had to, you know. Third first dance is for the win. And then the following day we ended up going to drop our car off at the car rental place. And I have to tell the story. You have to tell the story, actually. That morning first we took a train over. Wait, did we take the train? No. First we dropped the car off, obviously.
I don't even know what
took the
story
train.
you're talking.
We went to the gas station.
Oh my god, the gas
And
station.
Dominic almost got in a whole fight, like, with these people. It was crazy, you guys. I'm sitting in the car listening to Taylor Swift's new version of Anti-Hero that she just came out with. And all of a sudden...
It was version number 84.
It was version number 2. There was not as many of Anti-Hero. But
Whatever.
anyway, I was sitting in the car listening to it. Dominic parked, and then he was going to go inside to pay. And was this the first time we got gas there or something?
I think so.
Like, because we didn't realize that you actually are supposed to pay before you pull up to the tank.
Yep.
So Dominic pulled up to the tank, went in to pay, and I'm sitting there completely oblivious as to what's going on. But all I see is kind of chaos going on around me. Like, people are getting mad. And they're kind of looking at me also, and I'm just, like, sitting there listening to Anti-Hero. Like, I didn't know what was happening. And turns out Dominic was inside the gas station.
It was just a very unpleasant, angry experience on a lot of people's parts.
And unnecessary, honestly. You didn't know, and we didn't know. He thought he had to go in and pay before... You know, like you would in America. Like, that's how you do it in America. They could have been nice to you about it and not, like, they were honking at me out there. Like, they were standing in front of the car like this, staring into the gas station at Dominic. And I'm sitting there not knowing that they're staring at you. I'm like, something is going down in that gas station. Dominic comes out and he gets in the car and he's like, pissed, and I'm like, is everything all right? Like, what happened in there? Because I honestly thought just like people were mad. I don't even know why they were mad, but it was a crazy experience anyway. I wish I vlogged about it at the time, because I barely remember it now, but I just remember it was hilarious at the time.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And then we took the boat back. Well, they actually took our train apart and put it on the boat.
Which they did on the night train too, but we were asleep.
We were asleep, so we didn't even know.
Yeah.
But they took our train apart, put it on the boat, and then they put it back together, and we went back to Rome, and we flew out of Rome the following day.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was our trip. Well, that was our trip. I'm just gonna end it there. Because then remember our flight got canceled. Our flight got canceled and they tried to reschedule it for the following day. And I think Dominic and I were both like just so tired from traveling and Dominic being sick. Like we were just ready to be home at that point. And I knew in my head at the time, I was like, there will be a time when I'm like, why didn't we stay that extra day? And like, because we loved it there so much, why didn't we enjoy Rome that last day? But at the time, we were just so tired and ready.
It was weird too because we stayed in like the actual, it was like a Hilton or something.
Yeah, we stayed in the Hilton connected to the airport. Had we not done that, I think we would have stayed in Rome. But it was a half an hour away from Rome.
It was 45 minutes away from Rome.
45 minutes away. And to get there, you had to take the train.
Or an Uber, and
it was just
the whole thing.
It was a whole thing, so we didn't stay.
But staying in the hotel was arguably the worst part of the trip,
So
and that includes me being sick because, and I mean, whenever you're at a hotel, you kind of never feel really like you're on vacation, but especially being in another country, and now you're suddenly surrounded by a bunch of people who speak only English, who are clearly not from Italy,
about that.
who are serving you very American food. It was just weird.
It was overwhelming.
It was, because all of a sudden we could understand everything.
Because all of a sudden we knew what people were saying. Where this whole entire 3 weeks, basically, that we were in Italy, we couldn't understand anyone, so it became background noise. That was, I think, the coolest part about being there, was people talking just with background noise. We couldn't hear anything they were saying, so it didn't matter what they were saying, really. Right. Even at the gas station, I was like, they're mad about something. Yeah. But, like, I didn't know what it was, so it was just kind of comical at that point. But when... like now you're fully immersed in like English speaking people at the hotel. I'm so happy we didn't stay in a hotel the whole time. That is my biggest recommendation for anybody going on a trip, is to seek out Airbnbs and stay in the area. Like don't like immerse yourself in the culture and enjoy being over there, because otherwise you're just in America still. Like that's how it felt when the second we stepped into the Hilton, like we were just like, we can hear everyone. We know what they're saying. It was very
overwhelming almost immediately.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of it you could blame on exhaustion and wanting to come home and whatnot, but even like my working environment, like it was overwhelming.
When you got back to work.
For a couple of weeks until I settled back into it.
And it's interesting because on our way there, you guys remember if you saw the first video, when we were stuck in Paris for that day, it was overwhelming originally, transitioning to not knowing what anyone was saying. Right. But then you get used to it so fast. Like, we were used to it so quickly, not knowing what people were saying. And I'd say for the most part in Rome, people speak English. In Taormina, people spoke English too, I felt. Like, most of the people
did, but they didn't want to.
Yeah, but they didn't want to as much as in Rome. Because Rome, I think they're used to tourists and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the tea. That's a weird way to end it. Anyway... That's the tea. That is our trip. It was so much fun. We had a blast, and we can't wait to go back. That's everything. We've updated them on it all, finally.
It only took us, I don't know, what day is it?
I know. It took us literally almost a year that it has taken us.
Don't do me like that. It didn't take a year.
It did. October. It was October when we went there. And it was just the best experience ever, though. Cannot recommend it enough to you guys to go to another country. Like, we did not know.
100%.
We did not know what we were missing by never having been. So now...
And I mean, we've done our fair bit of travel over the years.
We have traveled everywhere in the United States.
That was...
It was a totally different...
It was a very opening experience.
It felt like a movie. We got back and, like, literally it felt surreal that we had ever even gone. Which is a part of why we never filmed this. Because, like, it just didn't feel like my real life. Like, we got back and I was like, where'd those 3 weeks go? What have we been up to? Because it literally felt like we were living in a dream the whole entire time, minus the sickness. But even that felt kind of like a weird dream,
right.
You know? But anyway, you guys, I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for doing this with me, buddy. I appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next one. And, well, I'll see them in the next one.
I might.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe not.
We'll see if I come up with anything else to talk to you guys about. I did want to do a video about, like, tips for if you guys are considering going overseas, because we got so many tips. So we will see when that comes for you guys. But I love you all so much, and I will see you later.